Right, everybody, these are the 5 things we learned from Manchester United's 2-0 defeat to Wolverhampton. We'll be talking about what we learned from the game, individuals, and ultimately what we must do going forward. It's very, very tough for Manchester United at the minute. I think we are 14th in the league, and Ugarte and Bruno will miss our next game. But let's see. The first thing we learned: Bruno's a disgrace. I think Bruno's a player who, listen, he's our chief career. He's one of our best players and has been in the last couple of seasons, but I think he's one of those players who plays with a lot of emotions, and you can see that sometimes the emotions does get the better of him. He's picked up 3 red cards this season. I think his performances have been very, very poor. Listen, with Bruno, he's not really a player who takes the game by the scruff of the neck, and you look at what Wolves had in their left 10 in Cunha. He was absolutely fantastic, and Manchester United, for me, must go and sign him in the summer because he's absolutely fantastic. But Bruno, for me, did massively struggle. And as I said, on it, he was frustrated initially by not getting a free kick for himself, which then he ordered and retaliated and got himself a yellow. And the second yellow, listen, you can't be doing that. It was 90 seconds or 88 seconds into the first half. And ultimately he comes away and makes that silly decision and ultimately cost us the game. I think even with the red card, I think we still played decent. Obviously, we got done out on the counter attack and by a corner, which I will talk about. But Bruno, I think, cost us the game because at that point it was 0-0. We did have chances to score. And ultimately, that really did ruin the game. And I think, as I said with Bruno, he is starting to become an issue. He's not creating enough. He's a player who always does have that moment and has been that chief creator. But you look at, is he someone who is worth 300 grand a week? And his performances have really haven't lived up to that standard at the moment. Listen, there's no doubt his effort and commitment, but what do we really do with Bruno? As I said, sometimes he does play with emotion. Listen, emotions are good to play with, but he sometimes uses them too much, to an extent where ultimately these decisions do happen. And listen, this is his 3rd red card this season. And yes, the one against Tottenham got overturned, but still, sometimes his attitude is a bit worrying. But in the game yesterday against Wolves, he did massively cost us, and you can see it did change the momentum. Not even based on his position or his performance, like that was totally different, but the red card did cost us. The second thing we learned, Ugarte must start every game, and we're seeing that now. Obviously, he will be suspended for the game against Newcastle, which is a huge miss, but it was at a point where each game Amorim would rotate. He would bring in, he would rotate him out or bring him off, but now you can see his importance to the team, and he plays him every single game he's available. He plays in the number 6. And he's absolutely fantastic. I think his performance yesterday was very, very good. Early on, he was winning so many duels, so many tackles. And I do really worry what Manchester United are going to do without Ugarte and Bruno. I think Ugarte is much more important. You can see his importance on the team every time he plays. He's very, very good on the ball. I think he could. Sometimes his decision making is a bit sloppy, but I think some of his actual job as that number 6, a destroyer, creating that play, is ultimately one of the best. And I think I did see a stat that he's made like the most interceptions in the league. He's absolutely fantastic. He works his socks off. And the player for me who is massively underrated. So I think Ugarte is proven to be one of those players in the Manchester United team who should be starting every game. Amorim's still learning about his team, but I think Ugarte, listen, he's 23, he's young, and really we don't really have anyone else in that 6th position. You have to look at Ugarte for starting every single game for Manchester United at this current moment. So Ugarte for me is absolutely key. The third thing we learned, set pieces again. I mean, it's every game. Wolves have conceded 16 set pieces this season. That is, well, at the time, it was 7 less than Manchester United. 7 more, sorry, than Manchester United. United have now conceded 10 set pieces this season. Just very, very sloppy. He's literally straight from a corner. And I saw a clip of Cunha literally saying he practiced that in training. The manager told him to shoot. He had one the first half, which I think Onana catched it, but the second one just looped straight over him. Listen, 2 players impeding him, whether you want to think it's a foul or not. United are not good enough from defending corners. We've conceded one against Spurs directly from a corner, and that's 2 within the space of a week. There are some issues going on at Manchester United in that set piece department, and I think there just needs to be a change. Like, there shouldn't be a corner is basically a goal when you're defending against Manchester United, or when Manchester United are defending, because it literally just loops straight over Onana's head. And I think, yes, as I said, he's getting impeded, but it's just straight from a corner, and we must do better. Set pieces are really an issue, and they are costing us points. You look at against Forest, Arsenal yesterday, probably wouldn't have won the game anyway, but still, they're still having a big impact against Bournemouth, the way that we are playing. And listen, we've got some tough games coming up, so we need to eradicate the set pieces if you want to catch points. So that was the third thing we learned. Now, number 4, Amarim's disappointment. Amarim was absolutely fuming when he took off. Well, when Bruno Fernandes went off, he didn't even acknowledge him. He is going to be frustrating. He's had 4 losses already in the league. Very, very tough. Some tough games. And you look at the next few games, we've got Newcastle and Liverpool in the league. Newcastle are on fire at the minute. Liverpool, one of the best teams. Well, they are the best team in the Premier League, top of the league. It is going to be very, very tough. And you could see our next few games, we could lose all 3 of them. And it is going to be frustrating. I think it's down to these players, which I will talk about lastly. But Amarim will be disappointing. I think he's really got to be putting in players that are really defending that shirt, and I don't think some of them enough. You look at the Rashford situation, I think he's handled that effectively. Obviously Bruno will be out, we'll see what he does there, but ultimately we're not creating enough, and that's something Amarim's going to be disappointed. We're not putting crosses into the box. I think Højlund's performance was very poor, and we're simply not doing enough on the pitch. And yes, he's having limited training sessions and he's come midway through a season, but it's some of the basic stuff that we're not doing right, like Mainoo's passing, simple 5-10 yard passes, overhitting them, crossing into the box, conceding sloppy goals. It ultimately is very, very disappointing. Now, the 5th and final thing that we learnt is the players let Amarim down again. Listen, this is not on Amarim. Yes, we lost and he chooses the team, but the red cards, silly decisions, conceding from corners, not being effective enough in the final third. I think the players ultimately are failing Amarim at the minute, and it's not all of them. I think it's not the whole team failing him, really. It's certain individuals who are massively costing the team, and you can see the simple errors. He is going to be frustrating. I think we do massively need players to come in the window. We need a left wing back, a striker, a centre midfielder, a centre back maybe. People are talking about a goalkeeper, but the wing backs are struggling. Delo and Mazraoui at this moment. Other players are also struggling. We are massively struggling at the moment, and players are needed. Listen, we're not going to probably get much in the January transfer window, and we probably won't get much in the summer because we just simply do not have the money, but we do need to get some players into this team. I think the key positions right now are full-backs or wing-backs, a left wing-back and a right wing-back. I actually thought Anthony, when he came on, actually did a decent, but is really the long-term future. We need that. A midfielder and definitely someone up front. They would be the priority positions right now. But listen, they're the 5 things we learned. I think Ugarte was the only player yesterday who can really come away with that performance. Everyone else needs to be better. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.